Okay, it says we're live, so whatever you want to say.
All right. Okay, I've got a pretty loud voice, so I'm not going to bother with the microphone. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Stephen Chalmers. I'm the branch manager of the Mid-Continent Public Library branch here in Excelsior Springs, and I want to thank everybody for coming out. This is a big crowd. This is as many people as we had here for the school board forum a while back that we did. We're always happy to do these types of events. Library's mission is to provide access to information, and that includes information about important issues such as this. This is the people's community room for you to use, and so we're happy to make it available for all of our residents here in Clay County. And in Ray County, our neighbors in Ray County too, we do have a reciprocal agreement with them. So I do want to remind everyone though that I know that this is a contentious issue, but and we're happy to provide space for this and for everybody to have their opportunity to speak, but I would ask that everybody keep it as civil as possible, and remember that the library's conduct policy is still in effect, so certainly not something we want to have to enforce, so please just try to conduct yourselves appropriately. I know everybody will, though. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brian Rice. He is the president of the Excelsior Springs Area Chamber of Commerce. They are co-hosting this with the Excelsior Citizen, and of course we're hosting here with Mid-Continent Public Library. I'm going to turn it over to him, and he is going to moderate this evening's event. So,
thank you, Stephen. And thank you. I'd like to mirror what Stephen said. Thank you all for being here. This is great when we see a full house, and I appreciate the fact we're live streaming, and so I appreciate the people that are tuning in live and watching this. It's a stormy, rainy night, so I know it's difficult to get out. I do appreciate you being here. I'm Brian Rice. I am the Chamber President, and I am partnering with the museum, with the library, and with the Excelsior Citizen, and I have been asked to be the moderator for tonight's event. Now, what we want to make clear is that this is informational only. We've asked everybody on the subject to be here tonight, so I will introduce our panelists here shortly, but this is not a debate. This is information only. So the Excelsior Citizen has opened up, they opened up an online poll for about 2 weeks to collect questions that you might have on these, and we do have those questions, and some were just submitted, so I have those as well. And we are tonight, I'd like to start with introductions. We have with us tonight from the City of Excelsior Springs, we have the Community Development Director, Mallory Brown, with us. From the Cameron Road Neighborhood Association, we have Nathaniel, is it? Beagley. And Chris McClaskey. We also have with us property owner, farmer David Rhodus with us this evening. Thank you, David, for being here. And from Ideker Inc., we have Chad Heitman with us tonight. So those are our 5 panelists. What we want to do tonight is we want to open this up. We're going to open up the evening with 5 minutes from each of them to speak to you on what is happening, why they're asking for the annexation. We're dealing with, there's a question on the ballot at Excelsior Springs for annexation of this property into Excelsior Springs. And there's some land also wanting to be annexed into Mosby. Very confusing, so hopefully tonight we can get that information out there to you and you can make an informed decision next Tuesday during the election day. So what I'm going to do now is, first of all, we're going to have 5-minute opening remarks. I will then go into the question and answer section. Then after that, I will give them each 3 minutes to wrap things up. Hopefully we can keep that going pretty quickly and it won't take too long. But then afterwards, if there's anything left that you feel like we have not discussed, please feel free to hang around. Everybody has agreed to stay afterwards and we can have some more discussion. So with that, I want to get started. And I will start with Mallory, if you would like to go ahead and get started with the introduction.
Good evening, everyone. Like Brian said, my name is Mallory Brown, and I serve as the Community Development Director for the City of Excelsior Springs. My department is responsible for planning, zoning, and guiding the community's long-term growth. Basically, anything that shapes how Excelsior Springs looks and functions today, and then anything into the future, is the responsibility of the Community Development Department. Tonight, I want to help provide some background on why annexation is being proposed, what it means for the city and nearby property owners, and how it fits into the vision of Excelsior Springs in our new comprehensive plan. On November 4th, Excelsior Springs voters will see a ballot question asking whether to approve the annexation of certain unincorporated area just outside of our current city limits to the west. This proposal is about managing growth in a thoughtful way and ensuring that as development continues around Excelsior Springs, it happens with the same quality standards, infrastructure, and city services that residents expect and deserve. Annexation helps the city provide consistent services like fire, police, water, and sewer. It supports economic development and future investment. It makes sure that growth pays its fair share for the services that it relies on. And ultimately, it protects the character and vitality of our community as we continue to grow. My goal tonight is to explain what annexation is in practical terms, how it affects residents, and why it's important for the future of Excelsior Springs. I won't be advocating for or against the ballot measure, but I will share factual information that provides context so voters can make an informed decision on November 4th. Thank you, and I look forward to answering your questions as we continue the discussion.
Thank you, Mallory. Okay, now we'll move to the Cameron Road Association. So I'll start with you, Chris, if you'd like to say a few things.
I'm Chris McClaskey, and I'm a part of the Cameron Road Neighborhood Association, and I'm here representing the McClaskey family. We're asking everybody to vote yes to try and help us save our property. It is continually being bombarded with blasting daily. The dust and the environment around our homes is being destroyed by the mining company. And when I say the mining company, I want to make it clear that that is Ideker and Rhodus Farms Mining. I think that we forget that they're not just a farming family. They are a mining family. So we want to save our property. Many of us in the Cameron Road Association have thousands of dollars of damages that they're having to deal with daily. I just had one of them come to me today before this started, and she's got a $20,000 bill that she's going to have to pay for damage of concrete that was just put in a year ago. So we need your help. We can't vote. We're not getting the opportunity to vote for our own property. We don't have control over what's going to happen to our own property. So we're asking you to help us. You know, the family that we're speaking of is ready and willing to annex this property right into Mosby, and they're not concerned about that, but they're totally against this annexation. It makes you question why. We would love to talk to you and fill you in on any more information. We have lots of information we can share with you. We have contacted everyone in the Missouri government. No one has helped. We're asking you to help us. That's all I got.
Okay.
My name is Nathaniel Beagley. I am the owner of Excelsior Canine Training. I am a U.S. Army veteran. I did 10 years active duty service. I worked with explosive military working dogs who detected landmines and off-leash specialized search dogs that were off-leash and focused on explosive detection. Before that, I was an engineer where we did route clearance. I led the way in the Husky where I had GPR and other things that I could use to detect IEDs in the roadway in Iraq. I got out of the military and in 2016 and decided to keep and continue working with dogs because I fell in love with it. I ended up moving back home because my grandfather passed away, and so I took over the family farm. We all know that the rock quarry's been down there for a while, right? They've done surface blasting. The trucks that are down there definitely are big trucks hauling a lot of rock. They don't really give any love to the roads. The roads are not good down there. We've reached out to numerous people after hearing that David wanted to annex 89 of his acres into Mosby. This is a huge deal because this affects my business every day. My house shakes. I have videos of my house shaking, a glass of water. If you're probably within a half mile to a mile, you're feeling your whole entire house shake from 140th down to 136. Excelsior Springs Annex would greatly help me out because it would basically build a boundary that the mine, as of right now, could not go past. There is mining allowed with certain permits and all that other stuff that you can obtain from the city of Excelsior Springs, but I don't feel that that's the intent of Excelsior Springs is for mining. Excelsior Springs wants to build businesses, residents, infrastructure. They want to grow. They want to see their future be prosperous and not a blast. So I would tell you to vote yes because it saves our properties. It saves the farming area out there. We do have family farms that are out there that want you to vote yes. If you have donkeys and cattle and goats or chickens or horses or any of those livestock animals, you're a farmer to me. That's called a family farm. We all moved out into that area to do our own little homesteading farms, and that's what we are all out there for. I feel like the company down there in Mosby at the quarry has not been friendly to us. I feel like they have been very nonchalant. They do not care about this. They are in it to expand and make money. They want to crush rock and blast rock to make money. There's multiple ways to obtain this rock. You don't have to just blast. There are multiple ways to obtain this rock. Hydrofracturing, expansive chemical agents, controlled foam injection, thermal and specialized methods, mechanical methods, excavators, hydraulic and mechanical splitters. There's multiple ways to obtain this rock. You do not have to blast it. The dust from these operations are in our backyard. Some days you can't even look out your backyard and you can't even see. I have pictures here and on my back there, and we have pictures. The proof is there. When you drive into Excelsior Springs from east or west on 69 Highway, when you pop over the hill, you see nothing but a dust cloud, and that is the Ideker Mosby rock quarry. There is an LLC out there with Missouri State for Rhodus Mining. Okay, so they are becoming a mining family. This operation is going to get huge. They want to expand. And I would say please vote yes so that we do not expand and crush this community and the residents in that area.
I want to pause for a minute and remind everybody, Vern Hendricks will be our official timekeeper tonight. Vern, are we doing good on time?
Oh, excellent.
Okay, so watch Vern. If he raises his hand, you've got a minute, and then, okay. So thank you, Vern, for being our official timekeeper today. Okay, so now we get a chance to hear from Ideker. So Chad, would you like to say a few things?
Sure. David, hold this for me. I'm Chad Heitman. I am the Director of Mining for Ideker.
Hold it right.
Yeah, sure. I'll have to stand here. Basically, just a little bit of background. I'll give you some geology. 3 years ago, Idekers hired me to come in, actually for other sites, to go underground, because that's my background. I'm a mining engineer and a geologist. So they had me come in underground, or come on board to look at other sites for going underground. I also was over this property. After looking at some of the wells and stuff in the area, I was like, well, you know, we have deeper reserves here. So why wouldn't we go deeper here instead of other places? So as of last year, I talked them into letting me buy a core drill, and I started drilling. So when I came here, this was all basically open pit. I took them underground right here. So they went underground. We've mined since a year ago last April, a year and a half. We've mined, we've went up to the extents of just north of this pond. We are currently right under this dirt pile, is where we're at. This has all been verified by the federal government. MSHA comes in and inspects. There's been numerous complaints that have been filed. I just had a closeout hearing a month ago. They measured everything. We are within our mining boundaries. Also, the Clay County Commissioners have, I've personally taken them underground and showed them the extents of where we're mining. So right here is our north boundary, right above this pond. We have opened up some surface mining lately, and the reason for that is the expansion everyone's talking about is not exactly the expansion they're thinking. Yes, I'm mining on the Bethany Ledge, getting into geology. That's this zone right here. The expansion that I need is actually just right here. This section right here, this little part, that's all I need. Why? because we're going deeper right here. So within Mosby, already permitted, already approved, right here is the decline. That's going down to the 700-foot level, then the 900-foot level, and then the 1,200-foot level. This is already approved, and this is a huge deposit. So everyone's worried about us going north. We're not. This is just the bias time for 15 months while we go down. You can see the holes right here. This was taken, I think, Monday. This drone flight, that's the pre-split where I've already shot it. So I've already issued a PO for the company to come down. It's a huge investment, and we're talking substantial reserves of twice my lifetime. So we're talking over 100 years, already approved in Mosby. So I just wanted everyone to know, I got approval from Idekers to go ahead and let them know, that, hey, we're not going anywhere. So this does buy us a little bit of time, but I still have, you can see right here, I'm shooting floor out and stuff. I can still, the only reason for this is it continues the same rock zone that's pre-approved for the airport. Airport meaning KCI. So I'm providing rock to KCI, to the Amazon project outside of KCI. I provided rock for Quick Trip here, the school that's just built downtown Excelsior. All that came from right here. And so I just wanted everyone to know, they asked me to come and I said, finally, I'm just going to tell them what we're doing. The expansion is not out here. The expansion is down. And so we'll be at 1,200 foot depth. It'll take about 15 months to get the decline down, and then I'll establish crushing. Crushing will be underground, by the way. So primary crushing, all the dust, that'll go underground. And so it'll have dust suppression. It's a much bigger operation underground. It's 164 feet thick, so it's huge. So it is one of the largest deposits I've ever seen in this area. My background, I came from the deep mine at Central Plains Cement, Lafarge. I spent 15 years down there. So it's the same units we're going after. Randolph, same thing Randolph is at Martin Marietta. Any other questions that I needed to? All right, regulations.
Once you get to the 700 feet level, you won't be doing anything at the upper.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, the rock zones are so pure at the deeper levels. Once we get down there, we're going to knock this one in the head. It's not even, it's not worth it for us.
You want to take that spot is the farthest away from the houses.
I'm sorry?
One of one do that spot is because it's farthest away from the houses.
Yes, and actually, there is rock here that goes out and meets cut Cameron Road. David has requested that I stay 600 feet away from Cameron Road. So that's why it's just this area of where his trees are at. And so that will buy me enough time to keep the cement rock grade going to our cement division over at the airport. So that's why.
About 50 seconds.
Perfect.
All right. And finally, we have David Rhodus. David, would you like to say a few opening remarks?
Okay. I petitioned for a voluntary annex on my 89 acres to the city of Mosby because my property is always laid next to the city of Mosby. We've always farmed in the city of Mosby. We've always dealt with the Fishing River Fire District. And the city of Mosby has no stipulations as far as agriculture. We've dealt with them all our life, so it won't affect our agriculture operation whatsoever. That's the natural fit for being able to utilize the mineral and natural resource that I have under the ground. This farm's been our family since the mid-1800s, and we never, you pass generational farm ground, it's like it come from my father as a kid growing up, was watched Dad make a living on it, and then it passed to me, and it's a part of you. When you're making a living off the land, you become part of the land. And when you pass it to the next generation, it's just like I see part of my father in that land. And I hope the next generation feels part of me in that land. We're starting to work on the 7th generation out there. And there's very few probably can say that in Clay County. Most farms get sold off by the 3rd and 4th generation. That breaks that generational chain. And when you have a chance to get a secondary income, when you live off the land, you have 3 things. You have hard work, Mother Nature, and the land. and they don't always work out. You know, sometimes, you know, Mother Nature don't agree, and you don't get off the land, and you don't make money. So when you get a chance to have a secondary resource on the land, you do take advantage of it. It's no different than when you go north, you see windmills. When you go south, you see oil wells and gas wells. You know, we got friends that live up at Kearney on I-35. You have billboards. That's a secondary resource off your land. And, you know, for future generations, it'll help secure that maybe in the next 150 years, our family will still be there. And on the 640 acres on the annexation, 85% of it is farm ground, active farm ground. You know, my family's close to 400 acres of it. And just out of why I'm I-89, it wouldn't have affected anybody else. Now Excelsior's affecting everyone. And this, under the pretense of future growth, which when one family controls the majority of it, and our life is generational farming, it's not going to be future growth. And the pretense, I say the pretense of future growth, the first meeting the city of Excelsior had, the Councilman Spear pretty well laid out the reason for the annexation. He stood up and announced, you know, that a few people from Cameron Road come with their situation, and Excelsior jumped in to try to save them, and that fired up the annexation. You know, that's not a reason for annexation from farm ground. You know, my wife and I, we spent 25 years investing in the city of Excelsior, working hard, invested a lot of money, did a lot of buildings, a lot of them was condemned when we bought them. And for the city to do that without notifying us and doing a 24-hour notice and doing a hostile annexation is an absolute disgrace. And, you know, when we talk, 1 minute? Okay. I want to go to your ordinance on guns and livestock and stuff. You know, you can't shoot a gun, you can't even shoot a BB gun. I have trees that the deer tear up. You know, we have coyote problems with our livestock, getting cats. We have coons and sweet corn. The annexation into Excelsior will definitely impede our farm operation.
Thank you, David. All right, well, now that we've given everybody a chance to speak, we'll go into some questions and answers. I've taken all of the questions that were submitted and I've broken them down into categories, and it seems like the big question is why now? So I'm going to ask a series of city questions to Mallory, and we do have some department heads here, so if Mallory needs to defer to them, feel free to do so. So the first question is, you know, how did the city's proposal for annexation begin, and what factors led to its inclusion on this ballot?
So I have only been with the city since March, and since I started there and looking back at comprehensive plans even before, there have always been conversations about expansion of the city. In fact, the city has expanded many times throughout the years. The city grew vastly in the 1960s. The land that we're on right now was part of that annexation. And so growth has always been at the forefront, I think, of the city of Excelsior Springs. Growth is how you maintain a city and maintain the services that you provide. And so we started looking at building permit data through our comprehensive planning process and looking at where annexation may occur, where we have utilities already located. And this is future. This is looking, you know, 10, 20 years into the future. And so one of the areas that was identified even before I came was area to the west. There's also area on the south side of our city where we already have utilities. But when we looked at development permits, specifically residential building permits, they are all clustered on our western edge of our city. And so in the last couple of years, that's where we've seen the development occurring. That tells us that that's where the growth is happening in our city, and likely where the county will see growth in that area. If you look at the unincorporated county, other than the Rhodus property, which Mr. Rhodus is correct, they're the majority property owner out there, there's been several lot splits and plats, and that tells you that families are splitting off their land, that maybe they don't need the 100 acres that they once needed, and they're splitting it off and giving it to their children or selling it for a profit. So you see that type of development occurring outside of our city limits. And then when the Cameron Road neighborhood, at time.
For your time? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, timekeeper. Jason, is it possible to get the map back up on the screen? Because we're talking about this map. I want to be very clear. Everybody's seen it like small and on Facebook and stuff. I want it to be very clear on the land that we're talking about here. So what we did, Jason and I kind of worked on this map. What you see in yellow is the current city limits of Excelsior Springs. And you can see it here on the east side, and it goes underneath there. You can also see we kind of eliminated Kearney and Pratherville was kind of confusing the situation. So we brought in Mosby. So Mosby's down to the south. You can see the little corridor coming up, and there on the north side in the brown there, I believe that's where the rock quarry, that's where the quarry is right now. So the proposed land is what's in red. So that is what is on the ballot, and what you're going to see on the ballot, you're going to see a question, shall we annex, and then you're going to see probably 45 different parcels. The legal description. It's a long question, but all of that is
This is the ballot.
45 different
print.
parcels. Now, those 45 parcels, I think, if I believe right, are broken down in about 30 families,
Yes.
and some include the farmland. Now, what Jason and I did is we took that red and we made some dark red on there. And David, you can tell me if I'm correct or not, if that is your land right there.
That's your correct.
So when you're looking at percentages, you could see the little gray lines are where the parcels are broken up. You can see the neighborhoods and the family. Cameron Road, pretty much right dead center of that map. So that's Cameron Road that we're talking about, 69 there at the bottom of the map there. And you're seeing the neighborhoods that are being affected by this decision on, Jim, if you got a question, you need to write it down. We don't take questions from the audience.
So I don't get a chance to speak.
No, write it down and it might get up here to me, but we're not, question and answers afterwards. Courtney? So I just wanted everybody to be clear, this is the land we're talking about. So as we're talking back and forth, this is what we're looking at here. So, okay. So now what I'm going to do is I will go to the Cameron Road Association, and I'm going to ask a question. What are your main concerns that you have shared regarding annexation in the nearby? What are main concerns? You've already addressed that. If the rock quarry was not here, would you want annexation?
No, we wouldn't. If the rock quarry was not here, they have completely changed our lifestyle out there. If we had a choice, we would not be annexed. But one family has changed the whole living where we are. Yes, he owns that, but all those people, a large percentage of them are willing to vote, have people vote yes to protect us. Because they say they're not going anywhere else. Well, if they were core drilling, if I can, this is our property up here. But we're not farmers, they told us, because we don't actively farm at the moment. But we have grandchildren, they may want to farm it. So that is ours. Why is it that this land here is more important than everybody else? All these people are affected by the mining, every one of them. Whether they admit it or not, they are affected by it. Because I know at my house, we daily have shakes, and they can say that it doesn't register on the seismograph, but that doesn't tell the whole story. Come sit in my house and you'll see how much it shakes. The trains don't shake my house.
Chad, on this map that's on the screen here, can you show us the expansion that you're talking about to the north?
The reason for the expansion of 4 parcels is I only want this corner. So it touches 4 properties.
Then why were you?
Oops, sorry.
The whole world.
I like that. Yeah, so in order to get what this area right here, it obviously encompasses 4 parcels.
Okay. So David, I've got a question for you. This is, can you explain your reasons for petitioning for Mosby to annex, but you're opposing Excelsior annexation?
Well, for one thing, Mosby's not going to affect farm operation. And Mosby was a natural fit because I border Mosby. Didn't have to consist of taking in 640 acres for Excelsior. You know, yeah, if something happens, Excelsior gets in, yeah, you know, all you have to do is have a conditional use permit and, you know, Excelsior's involved. But I mean, it's the natural thing, and we've dealt with Mosby. And we've had run-ins with Excelsior. We were harvesting beans out here by the cemetery here 3 or 4 years ago. It was wet. We couldn't get a truck in the field, so we put the semi on the road. Next thing we know, the police is up there telling us if we didn't move the semi, they was going to have it towed. And luckily, we was about done with the field. And then a few years before that, my nephew Mike, he was doing a burn on his place. He's in the Fishing River Fire District. He called the Fishing River Fire District. He started the fire. Here comes Excelsior roaring out. And there's Mosby, or Fishing River and Excelsior got a little hurt over the situation and turned him in. He had a $2,000 fine, turned him into the Jeff City to the DNR. He was on 2 years probation, so yeah. We've had run-ins with Excelsior when it comes to running an agriculture operation, not counting the fact about the firearms and the guns and also the 3.5% sales tax, that anything we have that's taxable, you know, we run a lot of trucks and trailers and things of that nature, and it'll all cost us more.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask you this question too, and Chad, you can respond to this as well. How would you both respond to the concerns from these neighbors who fear that the expanded quarry will negatively impact their homes? Obviously, they're stating that they want to annex because they're afraid. Is there something that you can say that would help them?
Are they specifically asking resale value or property values?
This is a question that was submitted. So how do you respond to the concerns from nearby residents who fear that expanded quarry operations could negatively impact their homes?
As far as I can, if we're talking damage, that was one of the questions that I didn't have time to explain. I've not had a single damage claim filed. I've been there 3 years. I haven't had a single one of them. In fact, I had no complaints whatsoever until the annexation in Mosby started. We have insurance. We have a third-party seismic monitoring, plus they do pre-blast, post-blast, and they'll do blast damage inspections. So if there truly is blast damage, they need to come forward, present it. They will be investigated by Vibertech out of St. Louis. They're national known, and they will evaluate it. They will also be the ones to go and say, yes, sorry, Chad, you have to pay it. This was blast damage. They're experts. They've been doing it for decades. So, but if it's, are we diminishing their property values? I would argue no. I mean, there's a chart back there that I know they put together. If you look at Zillow, go back to Zillow and look at Zillow's prices now. I mean, the house directly across from the quarry sold in 2021 for $662,000. I looked at it today and it's $788,000. And look, if he knew what he was sitting on, it'd be worth a hell of a lot more than that. So I'm just saying, no, I don't see how property values have went down.
Okay. And a question to the Cameron Road Neighborhood Association, either one of you. Why have you not filed claims or submitted for any of these damages?
So I haven't personally done it just because I haven't had a structural engineer come out. Also, a lot of times when you do have a structural engineer come out or your guy repair, they're going to tell you, like, there's nothing that we can do to say that it's the mine's fault. However, if you know mining, you know that settling, erosion, vibrations in the ground is happening every day. If it shakes an entire glass of water sitting on my countertop, which my whole house sits on the foundation and is built on, okay, that means the foundation is shaking and shaking my house. So therefore, it's shaking my whole entire house, and one day, if not tomorrow, it will have damage that is not just from one issue, but is a combined issue from the quarry operation down the road.
Thank you. Chris, would you like to add anything?
The only thing I would like to add is that we did go to Ideker with a small little issue. Me and my mother-in-law, just my 89-year-old mother-in-law, into the office because one of the trucks hit her mailbox. And we got met with a very hostile environment. And I have it on video. So if anybody'd like to see that video, I'd be more than willing to share it with you.
I would say that we've also, it's hard to go tell $1 million corporation down the road who doesn't, we were in there. He said the prices in 21 and that, so they expanded this quarry again in 2022, or at the beginning of 2022, they expanded that operation. They're looking to expand the operation again in 25. So you're talking about, it's only getting bigger, the area is being more abruptly displaced, and it's affecting it more and more. And if it expands again and gets bigger, it's gonna make a bigger side effects. It's just, that's how the world is.
And if I could say one more thing.
Okay.
Ideker is saying that there's just that little parcel that they're interested in, but we're forgetting that the Rhodus family is a mining company. Rhodus Farms, I've got the paper. They are a mining company. So what are they gonna do with it?
Let's come back to the annexation into the city. I believe there's about 30 families that are affected by this annexation. Let's talk about, some of the citizens of Excelsior are a little bit concerned about that. So now let's turn it over to some of the infrastructure. So if they get annexed, there's a question here on maintenance of Cameron Road. And the boundary will be divided between 136th Street, they're on the north side here of this elbow here, to 140th Street, which is up above, the top boundary there. Who will be responsible for road maintenance and snow removal of these roads? Is that a county, or would that be the city of Excelsior?
So any road included, and this map's a little bit hard because the lines are big, but any road included in the red annex area, which is half the side of Cameron Road, where it's Mosby, and then all the rest of Cameron Road, would become the responsibility of Excelsior Springs for snow removal and street maintenance. So the county would perform none of that anymore in those areas. Mosby, or whatever the agreement is with Ideker, I'm not sure, would continue to maintain the western portion of Cameron Road in front. And Chad Birdsong, our public works director, can elaborate if he feels
So Chad,
necessary.
Cameron Road starts in there at 69, and that first stretch there is already part of the city limits of Excelsior Springs.
Correct.
Now, it touches there where it turns brown there, that's Mosby. So do you take care of any part of Cameron Road there at that Mosby stretch?
The northbound lane is the city of Excelsior Springs, up to the current city limits, and then the southbound lane is Ideker takes care of that for the city of Mosby.
So then when it turns red, if that gets annexed into the city and all of that turns yellow, will you take care of that all the way
Yeah,
north to
if-
140th
If the
Street?
right-of-way is within the city limits, then we would maintain the entire right.
The right-of-way of Cameron Road, north of the city limits of Mosby, is included in Rose annexation area.
Very good.
So that little sliver of Mosby would still be there, as long as,
Correct. The southbound lanes would be, as it's written in the petition, would be, and on the ballot, would be maintained by the city of Mosby, and whatever their agreement is.
What about the other city services, water, sewer, trash? How are they now?
We burn our trash. Some people, I do believe, have pickup.
I pay $54 every other month for AAA. So actually every 2 months paying $54, I think it was like $24 now with a recycling bin and a trash can. So you're like actually going down, it's like $10 cheaper every 2 months.
What
For
about
trash
water
services.
and sewer?
So quite a bit of that area is in the Clay 8 water district, so most of those people out there are probably in Clay 8 district. They would maintain that service as long as Clay 8 can serve them. If a development came in to take a parcel or a piece of land and develop it into a subdivision, that we would work with Clay 8 on that to see if they can't serve a subdivision because of the size of their lines and the demand needed for a subdivision. Then the way the agreement is with that prior annexation is that we would serve it up to the point if Clay 8 ever gets big enough lines to move into it, then they disconnect from us and serve it to Clay 8. But that is a Clay 8 federal district, the portion where the lines are.
Okay.
I'll say too, there's also many people on wells, wells and septic systems, and so those can be maintained, and that process is done through the Clay County Health Department with septic systems. So.
That will not be required to be changed because of
If
annexation.
there comes a time when we install a sewer main in the area, which is not planned at all, they could connect as their septic systems failed, or they would be required to connect, but there's no plans for that at all. We don't even actually have a sewer in a reasonable area.
Several questions. We're concerned with annexing more streets and more property into the city limits. Would that put an additional strain on our public services that could detrimentally affect current residents in Excelsior Springs?
Well, we have several funds, like the portion that Cameron Road now is usually funded through our road and bridge funds. We worked with Ideker when they originally went in and upgraded Cameron Road. They cost shared with it. So it was a gravel road. We improved the base by had an engineering study done on it. PSI was the engineers. Again, Ideker shared the cost on that for it, and they share the maintenance currently now with the Mosby portion. So about every 3 years, we've done it 3 years from, we increased the base asphalt or base gravel with the geotech fabric in it. For the most part, the base is held up very well. It's naturally the surface with a chip seal surface on it. We've done 3 chip seal treatments about every 3 years since we originally annexed that first portion. And so any of the streets we do what's basically maintain as designed. So if they're a gravel road or a chip seal road, we would maintain those as designed. If a development did come in, it's the old saying, cities don't build cities typically. The developer, subdivision or something, they would do either the half street or full street improvements to current city standards for the portion that fronts the subdivision, if that's the case. And then we would maintain that perpetual based on the taxes raised by the subdivision.
Did the question also ask about, were you asking about public safety?
Yeah, that was my next. I was going into, that was infrastructure. Now I do want to talk about public safety. So I've got our police chief, and I've got Brad here from the fire department. So a couple of questions. I'll start with you, Chief Dole. Would annexation impact ESPD response times and mutual aid coverage?
Could you come up so people online could hear? Obviously, you're providing police service for a little bit larger area, so it is going to have a minimal impact. Really negligible. You're probably talking 30 seconds, 45 seconds to get running an emergency vehicle that far. So
I think the other thing to remember too is currently it's served by the Clay County Sheriff's Office, who serves the entire county of Clay, and so
they do so with about 5 or 6 deputies.
Correct.
So those living in that area will have a much faster response time.
correct, because that car for service could be all the way down in, I don't even, North Kansas City or wherever it could be, and so response time I would imagine would actually be quicker.
That was another question. Do you currently respond to calls in that area?
We do back up Clay County if they ask us to, so we are in the area.
Okay. So annexation would change the law enforcement jurisdiction between you and Clay County, between Excelsior and Clay County, if that was annexed, correct? Clay County step back and you would step up?
Yes, we would be the primary.
Okay. Same questions for the fire department. They're concerned about response times. Do you currently have any mutual aid agreements in that area?
Yes, so.
Could you come up here too?
Yep.
just a little bit closer to one of the
I'm
mics.
Brad Smith with the fire department. Sorry, Chief Maddock couldn't make it tonight, so I got this last minute. This is basically Excelsior, Fishing River, and Kearney per se. If there's anything big out there, those three departments are going to go out there, fire-wise, and probably more. Ambulance service is not going to change. We're your ambulance service out there now anyway, and so all that's going to stay the same. Response times will be like they have always been. If anybody has had to have us come to your house for a medical reason, then you utilize us in that fashion. Car wrecks on 69, we're down there all the time, most of you probably know, and not just for big trucks, there's a lot of different reasons. But you're really not going to see much of a difference from the fire department. That's same response area, same response time.
So there was a question about water availability out there. Would that be a problem?
Yeah, no, it's going to be a problem. There's going to be some issues, but it's the same thing. We're going to be calling in the Fishing River Fire Department for tankers, probably Kearney, Lawson. It's the same way we've been doing business for the 40 years I've been here. So nothing's really going to change.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Can I ask a question on that? Can you comment on the fire?
At the end. They can put down at your closing
I'll be
comments.
here.
You can comment on things. So, okay. So we're covering a lot of the questions here that have been asked online. So here's an Ideker question. This was just submitted. How would the footprint of the mine, as we see it on the map that you just showed, how is that going to look if you expand into Rhodus's property?
On surface, not at all. It'll, in fact, yeah, it's same. In fact, on that picture, yep, we've actually started reclaiming some of Renee's open pit, and so it's getting smaller every day. Yep. So this whole area, this was open pit originally. You can see that's starting to get reclaimed. This is the next level of dirt, and then of course grass and seed come on top of it. So the open pit used to go here, and so we've already started reclaiming a lot of that stuff. I mean, there is an agreement for Renee's property, her property line, basically straight line, straight across. Once I get done with this floor, I am to put it back to the way it was for her pasture. And so we've already made major advances. I got to fill in this section after I take this floor out.
Very good. Okay. So it won't grow any larger on the surface than it already is. Okay. So, Ideker, you purchased some land south. Okay, so the yellow swatch south of Mosby, north of 69 Highway. That's
Yes.
your property.
Yeah, we own
but it's
the-
inside the city limits of
It's
Excelsior Springs
Excelsior,
currently. Is there any discussions with development of that with the city? And
As
how
of
is
right
that?
now, we have not discussed it. Like I said, in the Brown area, I have got buku years of reserves. So I just actually started core drilling. It's very promising and it's massive. But I just started putting another core hole on the south. I focused everything on the north prior to this. And so we haven't engaged in it. As of right now, the future mining is not on that property.
Okay. You have no future plans yet for development in that area. It's too soon to say.
Ask me 100 years from now.
Okay. Okay. If you and I are still here, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay, total service, okay. Okay, this is for the neighborhood, okay? How do the residents view the difference between Mosby's proposal of David Rhodus's annexation and the Excelsior Springs proposal?
Well, I think we're all very aware of why they are annexing into Mosby. Mosby has no governmental, regulatory anything They are allowing them to do what they want, and we've even sunshine lawed Mosby for some information about Ideker and what's going on, and it's just not there. The information's not there. They're willing to go to Mosby because they can do what they want in Mosby. No one's going to stop them. I mean, you just heard him say that he didn't have any futures of expanding, but yet now he's talking about this possibly being queried. They have core drilled the property up and past me. So, you know, they just want to be able to do what they want to do.
They've core drilled more than just on that little square right there. They've core drilled. This is the McCloskey house right up here. So they've core drilled up above here. I've seen it all along. Let's see, there's the Y. So they're coming in. So I've seen different core drillings through here, right? And we've also seen them back on Mr. Rhodus's property back here along this too as well. And if they're talking about they've done core drilling down here around 60, so they've basically gone this whole entire rock shelf from 69 on the east side of the railroad tracks, basically. And because he is right, it is a massive, as he has said, massive project underway right before everybody's eyes, because they are going to expand eventually. He said 100 years a couple times. We also have it in here that they have to send out a letter. So when they did the 2022 expansion, they sent out a letter to our neighbor Dylan and Crystal, and that project was stated from 1/10/2022 to 12/31/2072. So that was a 50-year estimate back in 2022. So I understand he's telling you right now there's massive deposits of rock underneath the ground that they want to stay there for 100 years. If you know what Sugar Creek looks like, we don't want that right now in Excelsior Springs coming into it. So we are for almost every one of these neighbors from here in this entire area, even down here past 69 in Mosby. They can feel the shaking in their house. That, you know, not every single one every single day, some are smaller. So I would say that everybody in that area is pretty much for the annexation into Excelsior Springs, because they can't afford to uproot their entire lives for one person to annex 89 acres into Mosby. So we don't want that either. We don't want the quarry to expand. We don't want anybody to ruin all these people's lives out there.
And this is another reason why they're wanting to annex into Mosby. Do you notice this? This is called flagpole zoning.
All right, thank you. Thank you. To the city, is there any financial gain to annexing this property at this time?
I believe Molly McGovern's here, but I would say that based on what we've calculated, the financial gain will be very minimal. Actually, it will probably cost us more to maintain the streets than we will see originally in tax revenue.
I looked at the assessed valuation.
If you'd stand right up here so we can be heard here on this microphone.
I looked at the assessed valuation in the area to be annexed, and based on the city's tax rate, the amount of property taxes that would be generated is about $10,000.
Thank you. If, again, this is another city question, if the property is annexed, how soon can someone apply for a conditional use permit?
Well, in the city of Excelsior Springs, it's often called a conditional use permit. However, we refer to it as a special use permit. And if the land is annexed and becomes part of the incorporated city limits, a property owner could apply at any time for a special use permit or a variance or whatever rezoning of their property. I will note that they could also do that right now with Clay County.
Thank you. Okay, this question is for Ideker. Are there EPA and DNR reports available?
Yes, DNR and EPA, well, I don't actually report to EPA, it's DNR, the Missouri Department of Natural Resources. There's all kinds of reports. You can go online, you can request it from their offices. We are held under their standards for water and dust. As far as federal requirements, here's the book of regulations that I have to adhere to for MSHA. That's actually, 270 pages long of regulations. So I've reviewed all the ordinances as well for Excelsior Springs, for Clay County, and for Mosby. To be honest with you, Mosby's ordinances that they're proposing are by far more strict than any of the other. But again, I have to adhere to these, and there's 240 pages of regulations, so the federal will trump everything.
Can I re-ask a question, or wait till the end? Wait till the end?
Wait till the end.
Okay.
And then there's a question here about the roadside accidents involving trucks. Have you had any, what are your thoughts on the accidents along Highway 69 using
Well,
trucks?
as far as I know, I've been here 3 years. They did have a fatality. That was a contractor, from what I understand, a contractor coming back to the asphalt plant to get a load. And he was crossing the south lanes of 69. I don't believe he stopped. I personally, when I see it, it's a visibility issue. We've talked with MoDOT. We are trying to get, now this is on the asphalt side, of course.
Right.
I'm on the mining side.
Right.
But
Okay.
we have tried to get MoDOT to put in an acceleration lane and a turning lane right there on there. So I have, honestly, to cut back even the brush, MoDOT says, oh, we got to get all this approvals and stuff. And so we're trying to work with MoDOT on that.
So to be clear, most of these accidents are trucks coming from the asphalt company, which is there in the city.
We have
not from Ideker, the mining company, which is.
Well, I have no trucks. All my trucks are off-road, big, articulated, they're great big yellow trucks. We have customer trucks, and then the Ideker side of the asphalt will haul materials from our site to their sites. But so you've got two entities. You have Ideker Mining and you have Ideker Incorporated.
Okay. What will this do? What will annexation of this property do to taxes and property values of the neighborhood? And I don't know who to direct that question to. If that would be you or Molly.
Well, I gave a presentation to the neighbors, and I broke down, maybe you can get to it a little bit quicker than I can, what the property taxes would look like on a home. I chose the example of a $350,000 home. And so in unincorporated Clay County right now, the homeowner would pay, this is based on 24 assessment, would pay $4,254.18. If the property were annexed into the city of Excelsior Springs, the same homeowner would pay $4,813.58. They would no longer pay to the Fishing River Fire District. However, there is no mechanism in the state statute to roll back the ambulance district, so the ambulance district tax would stay on the books, and then they would also pay municipal City of Excelsior Springs taxes.
So, Cameron Road Association, are you aware of this, or is everyone involved in this annexation aware of this?
I believe they are. Most of us went to the presentation that the city did, and
It's also on our website. We have a webpage dedicated to the annexation, and this graphic that I'm referring to is on.
I believe everybody that is in the annex on both sides, both parties, every parcel, every resident, every home owner in that annex knows that your property taxes are going to go up a little bit. But you're also going to receive a lot of city services. So it just kind of depends on what you want.
Okay, back to you two again. Do you have any kind of plan if this does not pass?
Like, what do you mean plan?
Well,
I'm going to
I
keep
mean,
doing the
what are your-
exact same thing I've been doing until Ideker is up against my property line 50 feet down, just like Renee's property. And I'm out there in my VFW wheelchair at 83 years old with an American flag, and God bless the USA. Because people in that area come out there to retire and not move. They come out there to get peace of mind and peace of quiet, and they can't do it out there anymore. What they won't tell you guys is that David and them are planning on moving. They've been openly telling the entire city of Excelsior Springs and all their friends that they're selling their real estate within Excelsior Springs. They're going to move to Florida, and they're going to make lots of money, right? And so is the company in the quarry down there in Mosby. They're going to make lots of money, right? And they're not even going to be there. So why do they get to do that, and then I have to stay there and deal with all that? we're talking about future generations of farming, right? I'm a future generational farmer. My grandfather was one, right? And then it goes to my parents, and then it goes to me, and then it goes to my son. What about his son? How come we don't have the, potential to do that as well? David also said that after 3-4 generations is the hardest. He openly just said that. 4 generations of farming, that is hard. And there's a lot of people out there right now that are right at that 3-4 generational mark, okay? And so it's gonna take some, patience, right? And community help out there, whether the annex goes through or whether it does not go through.
We're gonna continue fighting for our property, because it's all we have.
I think I've gone through most of the questions here. So, Ideker, this is a question for you, Chad. Can you give any assurances to these residents, based on some of the claims that you've heard tonight, concerned about their structural damage, the noise, property value loss in the years ahead, with your future growth plans?
With the future growth plan, the vibrations were obviously, right now, the current mine is 60 feet below the surface. We're going 700 feet below the surface, then 900, then 1,200, and we're going away from them. So we're going to be clear down here in the far southwest corner, working our way back to the northeast is where we're going. So we are absolutely, you're talking a year and a half from now, we'll be clear over there in that far corner, and we'll be working back towards.
Okay. All right, so I think at this point, most of these questions, we've talked about it. We've talked about the benefits of annexing into Excelsior Springs. We've heard from city people. We've heard from the neighborhood. We've heard from Ideker and David Rhodus. I think what I'm going to do now is go down the list here and have 3 minutes of closing remarks. So you've all had a chance to write down things that you might have heard other people say tonight during the questions and answers. So I'd like to give each of you about 3 minutes to say your final words, and then what do you want the people that are watching online and are here tonight to walk away with before they go vote next Tuesday. And I'll start with the city. So
this is when I can ask questions?
This is your closing statements.
Why not just stay in Clay County? Why petition to annex into Mosby?
What?
Why not just stay in Clay County? Why petition to annex into Mosby?
Why didn't?
Yeah, why didn't you just pursue a conditional use permit?
Because I sit on the commission that says that, and I wasn't going to step on that landmine because I've already got enough criticism because I sit on that, and it didn't have anything to do with my petition for annexation.
So I would just close. He didn't petition to annex. Mr. Rhodus did. Yeah. I would just close by asking everyone to exercise your right as an American citizen to vote on November 4th.
I'm just going to take my time to kind of vote some of these things that were said. Number one, Ideker continually saying that they are not expanding, but yet they're core drilling everywhere. And this core drilling wasn't done 4 years ago or 3 years ago. It was this year at the back of our property. He also said that there is no dust because they're underground. Well, let me tell you, I can show you a video of my backyard. It is a video just last Thursday, and it was just engulfed in dust. You could not see past it. So he is lying. I have proof. I can show you the video. Come see me afterwards. I will show you. The reason that they want to go through, and somebody said something about the regulations that Mosby is proposing. It's Mosby. Has anybody been to a city council meeting at Mosby? They've already done the regulations, and they had to get thrown out because they didn't do it legally. That's the way things go in Mosby. So you can believe whatever you want from them, but we'll see it when it happens. I'd like to know why their farm is more important than our farm. We have grandchildren. I have a granddaughter that is interested in farming that land. So her dream of doing that is not important because Rhodus decides he wants to destroy everything out there. No. The other thing is violations. Violations. They say I've got DNR violations that they have had. I'll show them to you. Come see me. I'll show them. And one of these, it says that they had spoke to Ideker and told them that it might be a good idea if they don't blast on days that the wind is blowing in the community's direction. They said they couldn't do that. So we don't matter enough for them to make that choice. That's all I got.
All right, a couple things. So as of now, what I know, Mosby went to do ordinances and such like that for their city so that you could do underground mining. I do believe, from my knowledge, that the Ideker company and that quarry bypassed the city of Mosby because they weren't regulated for underground mining, and they went straight to the state for permits. I believe that's correct. Is that correct?
No.
Okay. The attorney from Ideker put that out in their meeting, and that's why he said they didn't go through Mosby, because they went to the state. And they said they just bypassed Mosby. So also,
That was at a city council.
yeah, that was at a city council meeting for them, which is all this is online too, so you can just look it up. Just so we talked about, he said right about the pond earlier. That puts my house at 1,633 feet estimated away from where they're blasting underground. Okay, the neighbors across the street, their house as of right now, from there it would put it at about 222 feet. Okay, from where they're mining at, and they said that they've done there underneath that pond. Okay. There is a giant sinkhole out there. It's about 60 feet off the roadway if you haven't seen it yet. So our question is, would those sinkholes continue to show up around the neighborhoods and those residential areas out there where they are? There are big trucks out there traveling those south and northbound lanes through 69, and they have to carry the rock to the asphalt company and back and forth, so they're traveling those heavily. And that is a very uncongested area. So we have reached out to the state of Missouri, and I hope that Ideker and them will too, because it does need to have some turn lanes developed in there. And that is the state of Missouri's, that's their property, and they have to do that. So we really do hope that that intersection down there at 69 does get some work. The dust covers everywhere from east to west of Excelsior Springs on 69 coming in. This is shaking our house every single day. So much that my dogs bark whenever they hear it. So much that when my dog is in the sit, it jumps up and startles. So that is affecting it. It's a conditioned behavior. My dog learns that startling or things of that nature help. That actually kind of that detrains a dog a little bit. Okay, it can cause a lot of issues with dog training later on, especially service-related animals. So it does affect my small business, and I believe that all those residents that you can see on here and the ones you can't even see on here would probably support a yes vote if we could vote, but we can't vote. So we need the citizens of Excelsior Springs, my family, my community members, people who have used my dog training and that has seen what it's like out there. I urge you to vote yes and help protect our properties out there. My community, my residents, the veterans, the family farmers that are out there, we're all affected daily by this. And we haven't really got a lot of help from most people. So we need a yes vote.
Thank you. Okay. David or Chad, I don't care who goes first.
I will. Just to address some of these, as far as core drilling, the deep core drilling that I'm talking about for the expansion, that started this February. So we didn't have a single deep hole until after February. I've proven this reserve since then. As far as the dust that they're talking about, let me just clarify again. Our future plan is primary crushing will be done underground. currently there is no crushing underground. It's all crushed on surface. So future expansion, when you go deeper, it will be underground. To talk about the DNR, when it's talking you're not supposed to blast when dust and the wind, that is only relating to surface blasting. Obviously there's no wind underground. That doesn't matter when you blast. All dust and air permits about through Mosby, that's handled through DNR. City municipalities do not issue air, water. That is handled through the state of Missouri. So yes, Mosby would be bypassed. Same as the reclamation plan. And as far as the reclamation plan, we didn't touch on that. Any open pit mine has to be bonded for a reclamation. So if Ideker's folded up and said, we're done, it's already paid for. The reclamation bond is already there. And that plan is on file.
Where? Anything else?
That's good.
Okay. David?
Well, first of all, I'm glad to find out I get to retire and move to Florida. Secondly, it's on the annexation process. Obviously, everything been discussed up here has been about the mine. It's more about the quarry and than it is the family farms and stuff. And it's pretty hard to annex family farms. And the city, in both their previous deals, they've realized that there's going to be litigation on this. How much money is the taxpayers in Excelsior willing to fork out for legal fees on this? Because that is something that's going to be a proven fact, and they've even admitted that it's going to be a proven fact. I think that's a big issue that the citizens of Excelsior need to realize, that the city administration has drugged the whole town into a fight out on Cameron Road that's not a city problem. So that's something you got to think about when you vote.
I want to thank all the panelists for being here. I appreciate you all being here tonight. I know there's plenty of questions. We've had a lot of information thrown on you today. I just want you to know everybody's going to stay here afterwards so you can ask your questions. The Excelsior Citizen is going to continue its coverage between now and next Tuesday. Jason's working on some videos that's kind of correlating with some of the information you heard today. Plus, we're, I think, videoing some of the individuals, so you'll be able to watch that stuff as well. On behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, Excelsior Citizen, and the library, I want to thank you all for being here. You can watch this video again. Please share this with everybody. Hopefully you found this evening informational. So thank you for being here this evening, and have a great night.